guys, welcome to the June 2022 State of the Guild. We just cleared Sunwell, so we're going to be talking about that, some changes we're going to be making for next week, as well as some Wotlk King hype. Lots to talk about there, a lot of guild changes coming in the wake of that, so let's get right into it. All right, we did it. TBC is officially cleared for progress. Sunwell is out of the way. KJ finally killed, and we all know Muri was a little bit harder. But yeah, guys, we're finished with the hardest part of all of Classic. Harder than anything we've ever done in the past. Harder than anything we ever do in the future. And there might be some bosses in Wrath that live up to some of the difficulty spikes seen here. But as far as a standalone instance, that was a challenge the likes of which we haven't seen. So I'm really proud of everyone for getting through that. Really proud of the resilience shown. These 50+ pool encounters that are very tightly tuned and stuff. This is mythic quality content, and as far as like everyone orchestrating and getting on the same page and pulling their weight, and we did it. You know, a lot of people don't have a lot of experience with that kind of mythic content, but yeah, the attitudes were good for the most part, and we were making progress every pool, and it generally felt good. You know, there were definite things to improve on. Progress is not our strong suit, so to speak. You know, we're more into the refining territory of things, but there's a lot to learn, and we'll get into that. But for now, I want to just congratulate everyone on a hard-fought progress. A lot of guilds broke up during this times. A lot of guilds shed a lot of members, and we persevered. So I'd like to give a special shout out to several people, really, but for the MVP this tier, hands down, it's got to go to Mana Burn. Just a top flight healer, really carried us through a very healing intensive instance overall, but more to the point, just an incredible team player. You know, he was asked to switch from Shadow to Holy, and I was doing full reticence PR spin, you know, like, hey, you can still get Shadow gear, this is just temporary, we'll try to recruit a Holy or whatever, you know. It's just, we need it going into Sunwell. We've been relying on the shamans for the speed, and we need that priest to make, you know, this BT farm a little bit more easy and to make Sunwell a little bit better, right? And, you know, no ifs, ands, or buts. He just said, hey, I'll do it, you know, and you don't have to like put in the sweetener of like whatever. Like, if you need me to heal, that's what I'll do. You know, I'll be happy doing either Shadow or healing, you know, whatever the guild needs. And that type of teamwork, that type of thinking for preference of value to the game is just, it's unmatched within the guild, and you know, just an easy MVP this tier to Mana Burn. I also want to give a special shout out to everyone that was with us from our first Ragnaros kill. We had some people come in BWL and AQ that are with us today that are very special, but I want to just highlight these people that have been with us from the very beginning, from week 1 when we made the guild and killed Ragnaros the next week, that were with us today, to KJ. And that would be Legacy, and Alari, Wotlk Hype, Mana Burn, all with us since our first rag kill, and we're in for this kill of Gil'jad Den. Also with us for our first rag kill, Kara, Necro, and Shira all contributed greatly to Sunwell progression, and you know, were with us for that first kill. So special shout out to them and those 7 people that have stuck with us from the beginning to now, and that level of retention is just, it really is awesome to see. I don't think a lot of guilds can say that. So really proud of those guys in particular. So just really happy with where the guild's at right now, and you know, we're going to keep that trend line going forward, and I'm really excited to talk about all the changes and all the things that are set for the future. So we can get into that. Let's just take a minute to relive some of those moments that we fought so hard to achieve.
Keep me top. Keep me top. Keep me top.
Let's go! Fucking
try, baby.
It's fucking giant. Oh my God.
Look at that trinket.
Blackened.
Look at that trinket.
Fucking big.
I can't believe you thought I died.
Oh, that was so fucking nice.
We're a masa too. Damn.
Breath. Good.
Pump. Still spread.
We only have the 1 shield left, I think, right? Oh no, I can get another.
I have my shield. I think I have 2.
Yeah, 3 shields left.
Armageddon. Move.
I'm at a tank.
Oh,
I'm on.
so
it.
be last shield. Maybe won't get a shield.
You got it? Yep.
Yeah,
Go, go, go.
yeah, last one. Do it. Nice job, boys.
Good
Let's fucking
shit,
go,
dude.
dude.
Fuck yeah.
Spread out, spread out.
Wait, it's not dead yet.
Press your
Oh,
buttons.
yeah.
Press your buttons.
Let's
Oh yeah.
Yes. Fuck yes. boys.
What do we got? Borderland Grit. Wait, what?
Hey, it's not Thordal.
Felicitous.
The staff, dude?
That's a helm. The helm.
Dude, dude.
Yeah, that's a heal helm right there.
No, we're
Well-
talking about Duplicitous.
We got the dance on lock, boys. Just a little
Yum.
bit cleaning
I
up,
can't use
and that'll
any
be
of
like
this.
consistent as fuck.
Yeah, that was super good improvement, Juke. A little rough early, but nice improvement.
Good.
Yeah, you got it, bro. I believed in you, Juke.
Yeah.
Way to go, dude.
Very much so.
All right, and you know, it's time to reflect on things that could have gone better. You know, we spent a little moment gassing up the accomplishments, but you know, things were not without their rockiness, and it's always good to take what lessons we can from them. And so we're going to get into some changes that we're going to be making for the future weeks for farm that should make things easier, and talk about some of the things that just need to be improved on as like a macro guild infrastructure standpoint. The first one is going to be PTR. You know, we have increased our efficacy in PTR the last 3 tiers, right? So in SSC and TK, we did PTR 1 day a week. That was Sunday, that was an alternate day, and we didn't have any raids that day. So we merged both of the teams. We did that, it was cool. We didn't really get to see the end bosses, there just wasn't enough time. But the PTR was open for a long period of time. It was multiple months at that point, and we just didn't capitalize on it enough. That tier, our lesson was, we need to capitalize more on PTR. We need to be doing it Thursday and Sunday. And we get to BT and Hydro, and we do that. We do a Thursday and Sunday. We make it mandatory for everyone instead of the optional that we had before. And we had set plans to continue on through it. You know, lo and behold, it was only a 2-week PTR session. So we were still, you know, in the situation where we saw Illidan, but we didn't see Archimond. And we were just a little bit behind where we should have been on progress. So we made the adjustment for Sunwell. All right, what we're going to do is we are going to go even further. And even if we have a raid on Tuesday, we are nixing it and we're going straight into PTR, and we're putting our actual live raids on the back end. Again, PTR was less than 2 weeks this time. It had a little bit of a weird stop and start pattern where it didn't come up till the end of Friday, which was our first day we had planned for it. And we had to cancel raid because it came up like at 1 in the morning or something ridiculous. And so, you know, again, this was all last minute PTR scheduling, and there's only so much you can do by getting your whole team together with such hard content. We got to see plenty of PTR, but not as much as we would have wanted to. And so the adjustment we're going to make going into Wrath, and again, there's not going to be any instances that are the level of difficulty of Sunwell where we're in danger of not seeing the content on a decent PTR schedule. Nevertheless, we are going to make it to where any PTRs for Wrath of the Lich King, we will be rating in perpetuity every day that we can. And if that means that I have to go in with only 4 or 5 people that can do degenerate day rating stuff on a moment's notice, we have to pug everyone else and we get that full experience. We're making multiple characters so that we can raid with the guild later in the week. We're going to do that, but I never want us to be in a place where we're going in blind to bosses, because that seems to be our Achilles heel. We went into the first 4 bosses of Sunwell having seen them and progressed on them, and it was fine. We kept pace with everyone generally, and it was not until we got into those bosses that we hadn't seen yet that really gave us some trouble. So that'll be the first adjustment we make. That said, Muru was going to take any guild a ton of time, so it is what it is. You know, some of the big changes that we're going to be making going into next week are going to be, you know, seeing what worked for us. And what worked for us on KillJDM was having a more streamlined document, having a lot of time to go in through and set everyone's position, having our raid plan set to where everyone knew exactly where they were going to stand, and having really good sheet assignments. And so, you know, we have a lot of wasted time on Calicos, Brutalis, and Thelmus specifically, where we are pantomiming where people are going to stand, where we're going to go. You know, we're kind of on the fly saying, you go here, and it's wasting too much time, and it's causing too much confusion. We changed the strat recently for Calicos. That's going to be better for farm, but we didn't have it on the document as streamlined as it should have been. And so we're taking what we learned from KJ with the positionings and group assignments, and we are expanding it to all these other bosses into the tier. So everyone should know where they're going to stand, where they're going to be, and what they're going to do for all these bosses. That should contribute to less wipes and more presently less downtime in between the pools. We can just go straight through it. All this is getting to our number one priority right now. Well, I guess it's in tandem with the other priority, which is Wrath of the Lich King preparation, right? That is going to incur a lot of burnout, and just becoming an efficient guild, what we're going to do as our number one priority is get to one night clears. And this is the first step on the road to that. You know, we're very close. We're a lot closer than we were in BT Hyjal at this stage, and it's just the nature of the beast, right? The bosses this tier are so timing based, and the gear is so good in Sunwell that it's just going to be a passive gain. And with these changes underneath infrastructure wise, I think that's just going to catapult us to be able to reach that goal, honestly, within a week or two. So keep that in mind. We've already nixed Sundays with our ability at this moment. Muru seems incredibly replicable. We're able to skip wave 4, which, you know, means healer mana is a non-issue. We can front load our cooldowns more efficiently to make waves 2 and 3 even easier. And yeah, I'm really at ease and confident that we're going to be able to continue this snowball of better clears going forward. So I hope you feel the same way. I hope everyone is as optimistic there. If you have thoughts, comments, or concerns on how we could be doing a better job to getting to that goal, run it by me, and we'll get it implemented. You know, as you can see, we've done a lot of work this week to meet that goal, and I hope it's evident, and I hope we can get there as soon as possible. So let's get it. Here it is, the moment a lot of you, including myself, have been waiting for. Wrath of the Lich King. It's upon us. Pre-patch is in a month or two, and you know, we'll be in the full swing of things. So let's get into some prep for Wrath of the Lich King, and you know, we'll start here with a little bit of hype. You know, things that are going to be really exciting to plan around, and we'll get into some of the more specifics here. But let's just talk about the game state. You know, the game state is just going to get so much better. You know, we're going to have better class kits. For instance, Muru, hard boss, good tuning. But what makes it hard is that the tanks and some of the other elements of it, we don't have the tools to be able to deal with some of the things that we're needed to deal with. You know, Feral Druids picking up 3 targets on all your big pumpers, Warriors whirlwinding, Rogues blade flaring. It's a challenge, and it's not because of anything in particular with the game. It's because our class kits are so bad. But lo and behold, this is when the game state starts becoming more and more retail-esque in the sense of your class rotations and feel. Death Knights, for example, have, you know, 7 to 8 defensives, you know, active defensive abilities that you would expect to be able to have to plan around for boss mechanics. Whereas Druids have nothing. They have none. You know, they have frenzied regen maybe. That doesn't really count. And then Nightmare Seeds, I guess, which are not a class thing. They're just a consumable. And this is just on the spectrum for every class. Is you're just going to see a lot of modern improvement. The big thing for raid leading and guild planning, just we're no longer going to be a slave to group buffs. Thank God. You know, that is, you know, world buffs were pretty bad. Group buffs were underrated in how bad they were going to be, as far as like feeling locked in, having to have certain classes. You know, you needing to use 5 to 6 shamans because they brought lust, especially in a speed kill guild. In this, when shamans are not the greatest throughput healers, made raiding more difficult than it needed to be. It also sparked a lot of arguments on who gets what as far as the group buffs, and it was just not fun to deal with. And that is gone, and I will be very happy to see that dead. So we're gonna have better group buffing, you know, less reliance on paladin blessings, you know, less terrible upkeep in between wipes and stuff on the buffs. There's still going to be some of that there, but yeah, it's just lessened. Consumables will be easier to upkeep, you know, things will just be generally cheaper. You're not going to have to wipe as much on the content because it's generally easier, also just less janky. Trash is going to be a little bit more forgiving, and yeah, the big one is there's no scrolls. I mean, there are scrolls, but you know, the new buffs being brought in override them. So the physical DPS that spend a lot of their money on that, they're going to be rejoicing, but less farming in general for your raiders. Healing is a big one. Right now it's 6, 7, 8 healers, depending on, how difficult the content gets in TBC. That's going down to 3, 4, or 5 healers. I could even foresee with dual spec being available on a lot of bosses, some of that's just going to be two healers, and that's just going to make things a lot easier to deal with assignments wise for the healers, and being able to really get meaningful throughput, less sniping, more enjoyable content for those healers, less burnout from your healing core. So that's good. Threat concerns are going to be significantly lessened. Not super reliant on salvation. A lot of pickups from the tanks toolkits to be able to make those pulls less spiky on the threat, better pull variance. Back to healers a little bit. I just remembered damage is just going to be less yo-yo-y, less spiky. It's going to have more of a damage pattern approach to it that you can plan for more in the future, as opposed to some of the ad hoc stuff you have to go in with some of the current bosses. As far as raiders concerns for bosses, visuals are going to be more pronounced. From Alar to KJ, you've had terrible ground effects. Even Fell Mist, which is newer content in TBC, the gas effects on the beam and the skeletons and the jankiness of the flyovers, it's terrible. The visuals are not pronounced enough, and they become a little bit more streamlined to where where you're standing is out of it. Now, it's still World of Warcraft. You're still going to have to give it some breath, but easier to see mechanics, less jank mechanics, better boss mechanics in general are going to be welcome. A lot of bosses are going to become tauntable, so some of the worst bosses as far as jankiness in their design, Gurtog, Blood Boil, and Kel'Thuzad from Classic, a lot of that is out of the window as well, which is nice. You can expect faster clears. I would be very shocked, especially in Nax, if all content wasn't cleared immediately and in one day on the farm week. That's going to open up a lot of time. It's going to decrease a lot of burnout. It's going to allow the ability to play alts without feeling tied down to the first raid team. And we're still going to have to put in the work to get to those one night clears, but it's going to come much quicker. And a lot of the time spent in this current content is doing old content for the 1 or 2 items that you might need. With how we're going to be setting up the groups in the future and just the nature of eye level in Wrath of the Lich King, you are not going to be doing old content. So again, getting to those one night clears is going to be much quicker. And again, I'd be shocked if that wasn't a week 1 endeavor for us. And just all that together, dual spec, all the nice quality of life features, the better visuals, the better music, the better lore, it all comes together to create just much better vibes that I am looking forward to and hope you are. So let's get into some specifics on what Convergence is going to do to acquiesce to this new game state. And I hope you're just as excited as I am. Okay guys, so going into the next expansion, like we have done with every tier and every expansion, we will be increasing the expectations. Now, for the people that are feeling a little burned right now, stay with me. As we alluded to in the last segment, it's going to be a lot easier to fulfill these increased expectations. So let's get right into my favorite part of the expansion, the Convergence raid team infographic. So right off the bat, you're going to notice that we are going to go in with one raid team. Now we're going to have two groups, but it's going to be one group of 25 people. We started TBC with 110 people. We had 11 Karazhans going on launch. We had 4 raid teams doing Gruul and Mag, and the benefits incurred for those multiple raid teams were not felt. And it wasn't worth it for the administrative manpower that went into upkeeping everything and the fallout that happened when they inevitably did not work out. And so we're going to keep one team, one culture, and iterate on that going forward. Now, I still want the benefits of the split rating, and the fact that we're going to be able to one night clear for a lot of these instances pretty immediately means that we can do split rating with the loot funnel. That's going to basically mean that we do not have to raid any more than we currently are. As far as the 3-day raiding in Sunwell, that'll immediately be down to 2. It says here up to 4 days commitment, but I do not foresee a world in which we're not doing maybe 3 days on week 1 for certain content like Ulduar, and then down to 2 immediately the next week, and then a couple of weeks after that down to 1. There's going to be Trial of the Grand Crusader. It's going to be 2 raid teams, knock it out in 2 hours, and we're going to be done for the week, you know? And so that's kind of the thinking for that. This is going to allow us to loot funnel into the main roster. Both of these rosters we want to be competitive, but as far as the first team that's going to be going in there for the speed kills and the parses and going into the next tier of content, those characters, again, it's going to be the same 25 people, are going to be funneled the loot over alts, right? It's very hard to do this in our previous iteration of this with the 2 teams because there were mains in the second team. And so, yeah, this is going to make it to where we never have to do old content again when the next tier comes out. And again, that's just going to snowball into making this a much easier to maintain system. We're also going to have a optional guild GDKP, maybe Saturday. I don't know. The date is to be determined, but this is going to allow us to further split off people and use guild bank funds to fund a few people splitting off and picking up some big items. I know we also have some people that have a pretty big purses in the guild that might do it on their own volition. You know, this is a way to kind of basically have 3 groups of loot into one, so we can compete with some of the more degenerate, speed killing and parsing groups out there, without sacrificing a lot of the time that comes with raiding 5 or 6 days a week. It's just not something that we have found very effective. So hopefully people can vibe with this. There are going to be people that have been with us for some time now. This is the requirements for non-CVG1, but instead of it being how it was in BT and Hydro, where that was 20 people, that might be 2 or 3 people that understand we are doing the loot funnel system. You will get your loot, you will be performing in a top flight group, but that we are prioritizing the kill team, the kill speed team. So yeah, I hope we can all get on the same page with that, and that's something that will propel us into that next category of guild that we would like to achieve. With that said, let's get right into the Convergence census of 2022. This will be the Google form run by Tro here, and basically we just want to know what your thoughts are on the expansion. Mainly want to know what mains and what alts you're planning on playing, and we'll get that export into a spreadsheet, and basically start putting the puzzle pieces together over here over the next month. So if you plan on playing a tertiary or a 4th character, definitely put that in the notes here, but really want to hone in on this main and this alt thing for these 2 groups. And we want to make sure we have all the information to start going to people and saying like, hey, this would fit better in the comp. What are your thoughts on maybe doing this for the main team, et cetera, et cetera. People are going to be more flexible than others. People are going to have more tolerance and bandwidth to play, maybe not their first choice for the betterment of the team, and we'll get that all worked out in a month. But first things first, we got to know what's on your mind. So definitely fill this out, and let's get to work. And let's just talk briefly about our Wrath goals. Not a lot has changed in the goal department, but just always good to touch base on them. So we're going to continue our upward trajectory. We have gotten better every tier. We faced new challenges. This challenge was not our forte in Sunwell in progress, but we met it. And as long as we are improving and getting better each tier as a team, then I'm happy. We have the express goal of competing in parsing and speed kill as a team, and so that's going to continue to be our focus going into Wrath of the Lich King. We want to remain on the top of the server in the region for those kills, and I really think a lot of things about Wrath lend us to being able to accomplish this, along with some of the previous aforementioned changes with the loot funneling. That's just going to be still our number 1 focus here. We are going to be following speed clear routes more closely than we did in the past. We will have maybe some for fun speed nights, but more importantly, I want to make sure we're utilizing all available strategies to make sure we minimize the amount of days spent raiding as a team to decrease burnout, increase retention. I think I haven't given a lot of credence to that thinking in the past, and definitely going to continue that. And again, that does not mean that we're going to be focused on speed clears, but it's definitely something that we're going to be pulling from. a lot of things about these last two phases with glaives and again Thoradol compounding that is, there are items that comes down to RNG. It comes down to your ability to be a large guild and have a ton of splits, be kind of cutthroat, kick people and bring people in, deal with some diva attitudes for God knows whatever reason a glaive person leaves another guild, and integrating that with your team. Just things that we are unable and unwilling to do have kind of made this tier feel kind of soured. We've had some big pumper parse lords really kind of get burned out in the game, as that being a core reason why. And this not being in Wrath of the Lich King, having a more determinist view on gear, whether that be the badge vendor or the shard drops for Valnir or Shadowmourne, it just makes things a lot easier to deal with. It makes things more even keel with the loot that you're bringing in, much as it was kind of an SSC and TK, where we really shined in the parses and in the early parts of BT and Hydra before the glaives started coming online. That just makes things easier. So really excited to be tackling these goals with you all, and I'm really happy with the position we put ourselves in for Wrath. The goal of this guild, this experiment, has always been to get to Wrath in a strong spot, and we're finally here playing the game we want to play. So let's just keep grinding, keep pushing it, keep on that trajectory. And finally, guys, I wanted to address some cultural changes coming into the guild. Moving from multiple raid teams to one raid team, it's going to be much easier for us to find our foothold as a team. And, we're going to be having multiple characters, and we're going to find new ways to interact with each other with these multiple characters and get to know each other better. And the game's going to be more fun to play, so expect a lot more mixing and matching on Discord. And, a big part of that is going to be continuing to improve our culture. And there have been some negative elements of our culture as of late, and throughout TBC as a through line. I would consider us a positive atmosphere guild, but there are unsavory elements that kind of drag it down. And so that was the topic of conversation right after we killed Kelj'Den. A couple officers met, talked it out late into the night, and kind of really figured out where we want to be as a guild and the kind of people that we want to be elevating and being a big part of the community. So you will, in the coming weeks and this weekend, see removals from the team. I've already got some pretty good replacements in those spots that I'm really excited about and really happy about. Some people that I've known for quite a bit, and some people that just show a lot of promise as far as having that good attitude. I think we're going to have a quicker trigger finger on that in the future. We've already done that for recruits going forward, but I think officers and longtime members and stuff, I don't want to get caught up in sunk cost fallacy for things that are not positively affecting where we want to go as the guild. I view raiders, a good raider, in multiple aspects. A big corner of that is mechanical skill, and some of these people are going to be highly proficient with mechanical skill, but one of the corners of this triangle is going to be consistency of attendance. And again, some of these people are very consistent in their attendance, but the last one is going to be your positive footprint on the guild, your ability to be a team player, and your ability to be a good teammate. This includes not just what everyone hears on comms. This does not just include going the extra effort to elevate your teammates outside of in personal DMs and stuff. This obviously will go into the back channel discussions, what people are saying about people behind their backs, and there's way too much of that going on, and I don't want anyone to feel like they're being bullied or they are being spoken about with ill intent behind their backs, or in some cases to their faces. So yeah, if you have completely failed on that tier of the triangle, you're not a good raider in my eyes. You might be skilled at the game, but that doesn't mean you're a good Convergence raider. So we're going to try to root those out more quickly and more fervently. And I hope this has a positive effect on me and my raid leading style as well. I'm not going to put all the blame on other people. I have my own faults, and I want to continue to improve again, just like the guild, tier over tier, expansion over expansion. I hope people that have been with us for a while have seen that, and I hope this is another step in that direction, not just for me, but for the guild in general. So let's keep the vibes good. We're about to get into a really good expansion that's going to elevate those vibes even more. So that's it, guys. You know, I hope that the content in here gets you hyped. I hope that if you have any questions or comments or concerns, as always, you can always come to me, and not just in the DMs, and you can call me on Discord. We can schedule something with multiple people if it calls for it, and really just hash out any issues you have. I think anyone here that has chosen that channel of communication has found it to be very fruitful. So I would hope that if you have any reservations, you make them known and not just kind of ruminate on them. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This isn't like a video made for the public. This is just for the guild. That said, a like or a subscribe always helps the channel. Yeah, I've said it again. I'm a broken record. I am beyond excited for the Wrath of the Lich King experience with you all, and I hope some of this content in this video has made you as excited as well. So let's get right to work, nose to the grindstone, and let's hit it.